On the topic of animals, too, can we just linger on it a little bit? Like, what do you think? What does it say about our society, of the society-wide abuse of animals that we see in general, sort of factory farming, just in general, just the way we treat animals of different categories? Like, what do you think of that? What does a better world look like? What should people think about it in general?
I think I think the most interesting thing I can probably say around this that's the least emotional, because I'm actually a very non-emotional animal person, because I think everyone's an animal person. It's just a matter of if it's yours or if you've, been conditioned to go numb. I think it's really a testament to what, as a species, we are able to be in denial about, mass denial and mass delusion, and how we're able to dehumanize and debase groups. You know, World War II, in a way, in order to conform and find protection in the conforming. So we are also a species who used to go to coliseums and watch elephants and tigers fight to the death. We used to watch human beings be pulled apart that wasn't that long ago. We're also a species who had slaves, and it was socially acceptable by a lot of people. People didn't see anything wrong with it. So we're a species that is able to go numb and that is able to dehumanize very quickly and make it the norm. Child labor wasn't that long ago. Like, the idea that now we look back and go, oh yeah, kids were losing fingers in factories making shoes. Like, someone had to come in and make that, so I think it just says a lot about the fact that, we are animals and we are self-serving, and one of the most successful species, because we are able to debase and degrade and essentially exploit anything that benefits us. I think the pendulum's going to swing as being late
Which way?
stage. Like, I think we're Rome now, kind of. Like, I think we're on the verge of collapse because our dopamine receptors, like, I think we're all kind of addicts when it comes to this stuff. Like, we don't know when to stop. It's always the buffet. Like, the thing that used to keep us alive, which is killing animals and eating them. Now killing animals and eating them is what's killing us, in a way. So it's like, we don't know when to call it, and moderation is not really something that humans have evolved to have yet. So I think it's really just a flaw in our wiring.
Do you think we'll look back at this time at our society as being deeply unethical?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll be embarrassed.
Which are the worst parts right now going on? Is it
In
is
terms
it
of animal, well, I think
no, in terms of anything? What's the unethical thing? And it's very hard to take a step out of it. But you just said we used to watch.
yeah.
There's been a lot of cruelty throughout history. What's the cruelty going on now?
I think it's going to be pigs. I think it's going to be, pigs are one of the most emotionally intelligent animals, and they have the intelligence of like a 3-year-old. And I think we'll look back and be really, they use tools. I think we have this narrative that they're pigs and they're disgusting and they're dirty and their bacon is so good. I think that we'll look back one day and be really embarrassed about that.
Is this for just what's it called? The factory farming? So basically mass.
Because we don't see it. If you saw, we do have, this is probably an evolutionary advantage. We do have the ability to completely pretend something's not, something that is so horrific that it overwhelms us, and we're able to essentially deny that it's happening. I think if people were to see what goes on in factory farming, and also were really to take in how bad it is for us, we're hurting ourselves first and foremost with what we eat. But that's also a very elitist argument. It's a luxury to be able to complain about meat. It's a luxury to be able to not eat meat. There's very few people, because of, how the corporations have set up meat being cheap. It's $2 to buy a Big Mac. It's $10 to buy a healthy meal. I think a lot of people don't have the luxury to even think that way. But I do think that animals in captivity, I think we're going to look back and be pretty grossed out about. Mammals in captivity, whales, dolphins. That's already starting to dismantle. Circuses, we're going to be pretty embarrassed about. But I think it's really more a testament to, there's just such a ability to go like, that thing is different
Yeah.
than me and we're better. It's the ego. I mean, it's just we have the species with the biggest ego ultimately.
Well, that's what I think. That's my hope for robots is they'll. You mentioned consciousness before. Nobody knows what consciousness is, but I'm hoping robots will help us empathize and understand that that there's other creatures out besides ourselves that can suffer, that can experience the world, and that we can torture by our actions. And robots can explicitly teach us that, I think, better than animals can.